Sometimes a single film is simply a story, and sometimes it's a mirror in which we see ourselves, our fears, doubts, and secret desires. If you enjoy this kind of cinema, subscribe to the channel and like it. It will help us release new collections. The films in this video aren't just background material. These are stories about people on the brink of change, about complex feelings, moral choices, and moments that can change your whole life. 10 films that will make you think, feel, and perhaps even see yourself in a new way. Outside In, 2017. Chris is released after spending more than 20 years in prison for a crime committed in his youth. His release was made possible by his former teacher, Carol, who believed the sentence was unfair. But freedom proves far more complicated than imprisonment. The small town hasn't forgotten his past, people are distrustful, and life demands decisions he's unprepared for. Carol helps Chris adjust, but their bond gradually deepens and becomes more complex. The film subtly explores the boundaries of morality, guilt, and the value of second chances, showing that being released doesn't necessarily mean being free.
I want you.
Chris, I have to save my marriage. Yes, it seemed important.
It's the perfect short story.
Gurov and Anna, 2014. This modern interpretation of Chekhov's classic plot sets the story of forbidden love in the 21st century. Gurov is a successful middle-aged man, tired of his usual life and formal relationships. During a trip, he meets Anna, a married woman whose outward reserve conceals an inner conflict. Their fleeting acquaintance gradually develops into a deep emotional attachment. However, reality, commitment, and the fear of change become a serious test for both. The film is less about romance than about inner choice, about how a chance encounter can disrupt the familiar order and force one to reevaluate one's entire life.
The Freshly Cut Grass, 2024. At first glance, this is a story about ordinary people whose destinies intersect in an inconspicuous place. But gradually, the film reveals itself as a profound drama about loss, regret, and the hope of renewal. The main characters are people at a turning point in their lives. Each tries to cope with the past and find a foothold in the present. The calm rhythm, attention to detail, and lively dialogue create an atmosphere of reality in which even the most insignificant events can change the course of life. This is a film about the silence between words, and how sometimes it is the simplest moments that become the most important. Irrational Man, 2015. Philosophy professor Abe Lucas is experiencing a profound existential crisis. He's disillusioned with life and has lost his taste for work and relationships. Everything changes when he develops a close relationship with his student, Jill. An overheard conversation leads Abe to believe he can change the world by committing what he believes is a morally justifiable act. However, his attempt to rationalize evil leads to a chain of unpredictable consequences. The film poses complex questions about morality, responsibility, and self-deception, demonstrating how easily philosophy can become a dangerous weapon in the hands of someone who has lost their bearings. Yins, 2018. A young man returns to his hometown after a long absence, hoping to understand himself and mend his relationship with the past. Pittsburgh becomes more than just a backdrop, but a fully fledged participant in the story, reflecting the hero's inner state. Old friends, unresolved conflicts, and new feelings collide in his life, forcing him to make difficult choices. The film tells the story of growing up, which sometimes happens too late, and about trying to understand who you've become after leaving the place you once called home.
Supposed to be my friend. I am, Brad. You're supposed to be loyal to me.
What have I done?
Bad Sister, 2015. When a young woman's stepsister suddenly appears in her life, the past begins to encroach upon the present. Tension simmers between the two characters, filled with jealousy, mistrust, and hidden resentments. Gradually, it becomes clear that each of them has their own secrets and reasons for pain. The film balances between psychological drama and thriller, exploring family ties that can be just as dangerous as complete loneliness. This is a story about how blood ties can sometimes become the hardest test. The Forgotten, 2019. The protagonist is a woman trying to rebuild her life after traumatic events in her past. She feels as if the world around her is erasing her memories, and the people around her aren't always ready to hear the truth. As the story unfolds, the line between reality and her inner fears begins to blur. The film explores themes of memory, loss, and how easily society can forget those in need. It's a dark and emotional story about the struggle for one's own identity.
Imagine families and children.
Stop it! Why are you doing?
Mo and Vera are ordinary students who decide to take the easy way out and cheat on an exam. But their luck quickly runs out. They are caught cheating by the strict and principled Professor Ursu. Instead of immediate punishment, he offers a strange compromise, a second chance, but on his own terms. The young people are invited to the professor's home for a surprise test, which feels more like a psychological test than a typical knowledge assessment. The atmosphere grows increasingly tense, the questions become more unexpected, and the rules of the game constantly change. The Swerve, 2018. A successful woman's life begins to rapidly unravel under the weight of everyday problems, repressed emotions, and an inner emptiness. She tries to maintain a semblance of control, but each new day brings her closer to the brink. The film reveals without embellishment how a psychological crisis can develop unnoticed. This is a disturbing and honest drama about mental health, loneliness, and the importance of listening to one's inner voice. Don't Call Me Mama, 2025. This story centers on a woman who refuses to conform to society's imposed expectations. Her life is a constant struggle between personal freedom and social labels. When circumstances force her to re-examine her past and relationships, she faces a choice: conform to a familiar role or finally become herself. The film combines drama and subtle irony, exploring themes of self-determination, age, and the right to live by one's own rules. These films differ in mood and style, but they share one thing: an honest conversation about humanity and their inner world, about choices you have to pay for, and about the chances that appear when it seems all is lost. If even one of these stories resonated with you, then the film did its job. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to share your impressions and come back for more collections of films that will stay with you for a long time.